Lucky Boys Podcast.
I was also in a fraternity back in the day.
Okay.
And I was in a fraternity where I was
And you were in a
only-
Caucasian fraternity.
I was in a predominantly
Predominant,
Caucasian,
okay.
yeah. And I was at the time I was the lone Asian member of my fraternity, but at the same time, like, you know, I was going through a lot of
Like an identity
self-hate,
crisis?
Asian identity crisis.
Right.
Like I had hated my identity as an Asian man so much that I tried to be as white adjacent as possible, you know. And I remember, I would say the bulk majority of jokes that were directed at me had something to do with my Asian identity, which I was so ashamed of that I allowed it to happen. Or, you know, they would give me all these Asian jokes, and I was, to fit in, I would kind of just be like, okay, like cool, whatever. Or maybe I would hurl a racist comment back at them, you know. But it was like, it was clearly an attempt. It was clearly an attempt to just like
Put you down.
put me down.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was like it's not that they hated me. It was just like, well, I was the lone Asian guy.
Right.
So that's what they focused on. And I remember when I was a junior or senior in college, we had another Asian Filipino kid join my fraternity, and he actually wound up becoming my grand little. So like my little's little. And he was very proud of his Asian identity.
Wow.
He hung out with like other Filipinos and organizations that, admittedly, at the time, I was so in my self-hating Asian state that they would come to me and I'd be like, you know, get away from me. Like, you guys are like so cliquey, leave me alone. You know, I was trying to run away from my Asian identity. But here's this kid comes into the fraternity knowing that there's only one other Asian guy there, me. And he pledges, he does his thing. And then people would spew the same jokes hurled at me to him. He took it differently because he wasn't trying
as a pledge or as a brother?
both.
Okay.
As both a pledge and as brother. But he didn't really say anything until he became a brother. He's just like, why are you guys saying these things? And it hurt his feelings. And I remember he said, why are you guys saying these things? It's messed up. And they said, well, Ollie's okay with it, so you should be too. So they weaponized my nonchalantness or my desire to fit in, and my complete disregard for everything. Like they used my reaction, my response to justify their racism. And it took me, and I remember I went to him, my grand little, I'm like, yo, bro, it's just jokes, relax, just jokes. They don't mean it. You know, it took me years after that incident for me to recognize, wow, I messed up. Like that was on me. And then I apologized to him like years after. I'm like, I had a long conversation. I'm like, hey buddy, like, I just want to tell you that I am so sorry. You know, I'm sure you knew this, but at the time I was not very happy with my identity. I was trying so hard to fit in. And, you know, in retrospect, I respect the heck out of you because
You spoke up.
You spoke up. Not only you speak up, you were so proud of your identity. You know, he's Filipino, I'm Indonesian. We're practically neighbors, neighboring countries. And he would always invite me out to like these Asian events, and I just roll my eyes and just be like, no, I'm good. Thinking I was better than that, you know, in my desire to be not Asian. And he inspired me. He inspired me. And I think, you know, I didn't recognize that was a problem until I got older. And, you know, again, I was dealing with that while I was also dealing with people in the military who were throwing Asian jokes at me as well. So it was kind of like, how do I get this to stop? Well, okay, maybe if I just ride with it, or kind of just like, okay, whatever with it, disregard it, then it won't hurt as much. And it didn't hurt as much, but it didn't stop them from doing it either. And it didn't really affect me until I didn't really sit down and think about it until much, much later.
People are getting targeted because of the way they look.
Yeah.
Right? Because of the racism. It's become violent, right? It's become to the point where people are losing their lives, right? We're seeing elderly people that are defenseless being attacked, right? And then there's the other part I remember before all of this. people that were fortunate enough to live in these bubbles.
Yep.
These neat little silos, like they were where they just didn't even think racism towards Asians was a thing.
Right.
Like they actually believed that they were, I guess, white adjacent.
Right.
And I spoke to a lot of them. Some of these guys were in my organization as well, my fraternity. And I would talk to them. They're like, "Will, I don't see what racism, like we're up there, man. We're one of the highest earners. We're blah, 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 blah." I was like, dude, that's not true. I mean, I know so many Asians that are in poverty, borderline.
Yeah.
I grew up around them. Are you kidding me? I was like, no. And yes, I have friends that are actually well off, but that's because I've changed my circle as I gotten older, as I became more in tune and able to control my life and became more useful to people.
Right.
Then I graduated to a different bracket.
Right.
Right. But I was like, there's some people that just haven't figured it out, or they just didn't have the resources.
Right.
And they're kind of stuck there. And we cannot belittle those people and just highlight all the people that are successful. That's like saying if there's a certain racial group that are all athletes, or a certain racial group that are all engineers, to say, oh, they're all successful, they're good. When most of them aren't athletes. Most of them aren't engineers.
Yeah.
Most of them are still struggling, and it's because of outside factors. The rules or the game was set up against them.
Right.
Where everyone else, you're asking me to run a race, but this guy gets a 5-minute head start. Who's going to win that race?
Of course. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I could still win, but I'm going to have to try a lot harder. I'm going to have to be extra
It's not
good.
an even playing field.
It's not.
It's not an even.
It's not.
playing
And I
field.
get it. The world's unfair. I get it. I know how important it is to give support to your children. You got to give them a shot. You got to let them believe that they can actually be someone, because half of it is self-belief. Half of it is building up their self-esteem. Half of it is just giving them that head start so that they can stand on their own 2 feet and believing, just supporting and let them know it's okay. If you fall, I will catch you.
Right.
And we will go at it again. I can't even tell you how important that is as a friend. To have a friend like that. I have friends, Asian friends in college, right? They had such low self-esteem. They've been beaten up so bad by the people around them. They've been beaten up so, and I'm not just talking about people from other races and culture. I'm talking about inside their own home.
Right. Yeah.
Under their own roof, they were beaten up so bad to the point where they're just afraid to share their thoughts. And they have some really beautiful thoughts to share.
Yeah.
When you get close to them, and a lot of people that have Asian friends, they probably like, oh, why is this guy so quiet? Does he think he's better than me? Like, I think that's the initial thought. But when you peel back the layers, you go, oh, that's not us, because this guy's been beaten up pretty bad. And then when you peel back those layers, you're like, oh my God, there's a lot of beauty in this. What the fuck? Like, you got to share yourself with the world. You have a lot of value to share.
Right.
And Norm knows the field, and he's actually best friends with one of them growing up. And I would tell these guys, I was like, hey, if you guys, something happens, I got you guys, man.
Right.
Like, we're in this together. If you fail, like, yo, I'm still going to be your friend. Like, I'm still going to, we're still going to do it. We're still going to try. We're going to get back up, and we're going to do it again. Don't worry. Like, hey, yo, I support you 1,000,000%. I want you to try. I want you to fail. That's all right. I want to fail sometimes too, because I know sometimes I'm going to swing and I'm not going to connect.
Right.
Knowing that I got you here with me to have my back if I fail, that's beautiful to me. So a lot of us grew up, we didn't have that from our parents, so our friends kind of became our brothers and sisters. We just kind of developed that relationship. So that's why with my children, like, or anyone with you, and to the people that are parents listening, you just have to give a shit enough about your kids to give them the support.
Yeah.
And that's in every relationship, whether it's marriage or your close friends. And as you get older, having close friends becomes rarer and rarer. You get a lot of acquaintances. You get a lot of people that you meet real quick and network, and then you never see them again. And you guys only see each other when you're doing a common goal,
or when you need something, or
when you need something.
Right.
It becomes a very transactional relationship,
Yeah.
right? So with a lot of people, that if you find someone that you value, some people with great traits, someone that you know that'll give you their shirt off their backs, someone that you know you could call them at a moment's notice that they'll be there for you, don't let go of that friendship.
Hold on to
Foster
them.
that shit.
Yeah.
Foster that shit. Do things. Show them you care about them. It's all good. And some people are like, yo, Will, that's gay. I'm like, then gay people got it right. I don't want to tell them how much I care about them when they're dead.
Right.
That means nothing. They can't hear me.
Right.
Like, I can't see the look on their face. I can't feel their expression. I'm touching a cold body if I do. I want to while they're alive, while
You
as
want to let
authentic
them
as
know.
possible.
Yeah.
yeah, while there's light in their eyes, I have no problem giving love to the people I care
Yeah.
about. I mean, right? I even, like, how many times I tell my boys I love them? Like, you see it, like, I'm like, yo, and I don't just say that shit. I mean, if I don't, I'll say crazy shit too, but if I really got love for you, I'm like, yo, or if you're amazing at something, I'll hurl a compliment at you.
Man.
Like, yo, that was dope, dude. Like, yo, I'm digging it. And I really mean it. I have no agenda.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like afterward I'm like, yo, you can lend me like $10. Like, but I do want to give people their flowers.
Right.
I think that's important.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think definitely providing positive vibes and energy to, accomplishments, to, when people are at their highs and people at their lows, giving them positive vibes doesn't help, doesn't hurt.
No, it costs you nothing.
Costs you nothing to say thank you, good
And you
job,
gain everything.
you're amazing, I'm here for you. It literally costs nothing.
Yeah,
to just be
it's
And like you
beautiful.
said, like being an MC, words do matter. Words inspire. Words
Yeah.
push. Words, help or, do help people. Either help people or, hurt people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
words have power. Like without even touching you, without even literally being within a foot, like you could be 100 feet away. If I have a mic and I have things to say, I can hurt you. I can inspire you. I can cause you to cry, or I can cause you to experience excitement and joy and laughter. Like, words have power. And like you said, I do MC a lot, and oftentimes for weddings, corporate events, bar mitzvahs or bar mitzvahs, people look to you when
to get the party started.
Get the party started,
get the
right?
momentum going, yeah.
When the party's great, they look at you and they say, "Hey, man, great job." But when something happens that's clearly out of your control, they still look at you and they blame you. But you're holding that mic, you have that power. The words you say are, anything actionable you say, you could. I mean, Travis Scott just did it. He just incited a riot at his own concert. If I, depending on the audience, I could literally tell them what to do within reason. Words have power, and I think how we speak to each other, our friends, our families, our colleagues, our subordinates, and people above us, we need to be mindful with the things that we say, because do you want to be known as a bully who's just constantly hurting people, not understanding? Or do you want to be someone that inspires? Do you want to be someone that people constantly seek for advice? Or, I don't want to be known as the guy that's like, oh, well, he's so belittling. He's always finding ways to better himself at the expense of others. Heck no.
No one wants to be around that kind of person.
Nobody wants to be around that kind of
But
person.
here's the thing. Those people exist, and
yeah.
those people have gotten really good at masking it.
Yep.
Okay? I mean, yeah, we all will say, oh, nobody was, blah, 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 right? And I'm telling you that these people that I know that's been con artists their whole life, or something, or very, what they call users. I'm only friends with you because you can
Provide something for me.
Yes, at that moment. You have something I want. Therefore, I will put energy into lying to you, right? And those people usually are very transparent because you're just like, oh, what the fuck, out of blue. But I'm telling you, I don't know what the fuck's been out there lately, but they've been really good at just kind of covering their spots and just picking and choosing and just kind of luring you in. And maybe that's the part. Maybe they're not chasing. Maybe they're luring you in with the false promise. They're playing to one of the seven sins, right?
Yeah.
One of usually it's greed, but they lure you in with greed because everyone does the greed playbook.
Yeah.
I was at a wedding yesterday, and that's the reason I mention it, because I'm like, I am that like dude, right? I'm chill, I'm positive, but at the same time, like, I wasn't born yesterday. And I know if you try to, do something scammy, and out of nowhere, like, they're trying to lure me in, and yo, Will, we just need 50 G's. We're doing this. Yo, we got this great thing, man. Yo, I'd love to put you in, yo. I just don't know if this and that. I was like, all right, cool. Stay over there. Nah, Will, you my brother, though, later on. Yo, here's a drink. And I was watching the whole thing unfold. And I was like, dude,
He's trying to get you drunk.
I know. No, he's trying to get me to feel good, trying to get me
loosen up.
to loosen up,
Right,
trying to get me bring my guard down,
Yeah.
right? And you know, it was more like I was like, I just cut him off. I was like, look, number one, like he wasn't getting it the first 2 times. The third attempt with the drink and everything was just a little much. His arm over me, you know, the patting on the back. The compliments, you know, oh, Will, you're so fucking smart. Basically, he was telling me how big my dick is, you know?
Right.
And I was just like, you know what, man? First of all, I don't really trust you. And I'm pretty indifferent about you towards my feelings, but now I'm getting to the point where I kind of don't like you.
Wow. You said that right to his face.
Yeah, straight to his face. Like,
Nice.
in a very calm way, like the way I just said it. Like, he was next to me. And he goes, ha, that's why I love you, Will. You're fucking hilarious. And I was like, yo, I like, no, you're hilarious because you know I wasn't joking. And he was just like, oh, word, was like that. I was like, no, don't do that. Don't turn it like I just dissed you. You the one that just tried to take 50K from me, dog. I was like, you know, I'm never seeing that money again. So stop playing. I was like, before you get mad, don't get me mad. I was like, come on, man. We had a wedding, man. You trying to do business transactions like this? I was like, come on, get the fuck out of my face. Come on, what is this drink here?
That is a red flag.
I was like, it's an open bar. You acting like you just paid for an expensive bad drink too. I was like, get the fuck back to that table, bro.
I don't know what you're putting in this drink,
You know
man.
what I
You could have
mean?
spiked it.
But here's the
damn.
thing, though. Like, we were childhood friends. You know what I mean? They knew me for years,
Right.
years. And then you use that as a weapon, you know, because you thought, hey, since we have history, you know, I could use you somehow. You could, you know, you could trust me, Will. And how do you know I even got that type of money? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, how do you know that that's available right now? You know, that's a large sum.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like, you know, it's these people, but they've gotten so good. And back to my point, they've gotten so good at masking it. Where it's, I mean, that guy's probably a poor example of getting good at masking it.
Right.
But there's other examples that.
They play the long game.
They played a long game,
They
and they
won't
were
even mention money
successful. They were
later on.
successful at conning someone that they knew, and most of the time it's someone that they knew for years,
Right.
or someone that they had trust in, and they con. I mean, that's hence con man, confidence man. You have confidence in this man, and they con them, and they con some of these people's mothers. They con, you know, for gain. To the point, not it's only them. They're conning their moms.
Right. To hit their network.
To hit their network because they know that there's additional revenue there, so they're bringing everyone in. You know, and just like, oh man, and they were just running away with their money, or they're never seeing it back, never again. You know what I mean? It's just, it's poor. So when you see that, you're just you start questioning motives, and it doesn't always come in a form of that type of monetization.
Right. I've often seen like con men specifically, you know, they try to get they know that you have a heavy network or a strong network. You know, they'll be cool with you. They'll be buddy with you, get you a couple of drinks just so you can eventually introduce them to other people. The second they get what they want, boom, they're gone. They're out of your life. You're like, oh, what just happened?
They hit the smoke bomb, straight ninjas,
You know?
just poof.
And then I've also, you know, for me specifically, I've introduced people, someone that I thought was, you know, trustworthy. I introduced them to some influential people that I knew in Asia. And generally, like, you know, I mean, it's kind of an unspoken rule, right? If I introduce you to somebody and it turns into a business kind of transaction, and like you're gonna take care of me somehow, in some
Absolutely.
level.
That's
right?
an unspoken rule.
An unspoken rule.
I scratch
right?
your back.
Yeah, and it wasn't like it was kind of like, okay, man, if something happens, like, you know, make sure I'm at least involved somehow, right? And this person that I introduced him to, I had known for years, and, you know, a deal had closed, and I was left out. And thankfully, like the person that I knew for years, when I went back to Asia, he took care of me in the best way he could. But like it didn't
Reciprocate.
it still hurt. You know, I felt betrayed.
Mm-hmm.
I felt hurt, and
You felt used.
I felt used. And since then, I'm very wary about who I introduce people to.
That sounds like another form of like a one night stand, right? Like, yo, I'm your boy. Yeah, I got you. This and that. And then, yeah, oh, word, you do that for me. I got you too. And the next thing you know, I promised you a ring, but now that I hit it, it's just like, oh, I just been really busy, man.
Yeah.
That's and that really stinks.
And that person like cut off all communication.
Yep. Yo, no, well, I mean,
The energy wasn't the same.
the energy wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Energy wasn't the same. Like when I did ask about it, he'd be like very aloof, or like try to change the subject, and I'm like,
Damn.
I'm like, I already know because my boy in Asia already told me, and I trust him more than I trust
See,
you.
in situations like that, this goes all the way back to like the first 15 minutes of our conversation.
Yeah.
Circling back to that, sometimes peace isn't the best form of revenge. The best form of revenge is to get better than that dude again, where you become the gatekeeper or the guy that is the plug. You're the access guy, and oh shit, I know you. Yo, help me out this time.
I definitely still try to stay grounded. I recognize because I can be a very emotional person, and my emotions will rule me negatively.
But you're not wrong there, and it's okay to feel negatively about that.
Right. Of
A
course.
lot of people think it's not okay to feel negative. Yo, you did something fucked up. I gotta feel negative. Give me the right. If someone dies, give me some time to mourn.
Yes,
right.
agreed.
If someone does something fucked up to me, let me feel negative. There's nothing wrong. I can't be positive 24/7. That's not cool either.
Agreed.
That don't make no sense. You did something fucked up to me. Let me be mad. Let me be upset. I don't want to hold on to it forever.
Right.
But right now, this shit is fresh.
Yeah.
But turning that and using that as energy.
Yeah.
Maybe I was lazy before. Maybe I didn't want to do this extra thing to make myself better, to level up. But now, because of you.
Yeah. Actually, no, to be complete, everything you said, like, I've utilized that actually as, whether in my dating life where girls have, discarded me or dumped me, I'm like, actually my best friend got me to utilize that as fuel. He's like, bro, if that were me and all these girls telling me that I wasn't good enough for them, like I'd use that as fuel. Use it as fuel. Use it as motivation. Use it to, not necessarily for the sole purpose to tell them specifically, look what you missed out on. But at the same time, it's like, utilize
Look what you
it
missed out on.
Make it not make it your sole motivation is to
Yeah.
prove not to prove someone wrong, to actually make yourself better. And a side benefit would be to tell them
Hell yeah,
what you missed out on.
That's the cherry on top. It may
Let it
not
be
be
the
the sole thing, but that's
Yeah.
the cherry on top.
Let it be the cherry on top.
That's
but
the
don't let
byproduct.
Don't let
You know,
it be the entire substance.
Yeah, but fuck that. Look, it's not revenge with it's I'm gonna torture you with success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's okay. You did something fucked up to me, man. And my success, if it tortures you, even better. So if I gotta do that extra thing that I was a little bit lazy about, I just gotta think about you, and I could thank you in my speech, but I won't say your name. You know what I mean? So that's okay, man. I mean, I don't have anything like that.
Right.
Fortunately and unfortunately, because I got those demons I've accepted, and I've gone way past that, and I haven't hit any type of success where that type of jealousy would be warranted.
Right.
And my own happiness is very small, where it's good though. To me, it's huge. See, what people would look at that and go, that wouldn't make me happy. It's not a popular thing to be happy about.
Right.
But this here is my number one thing that brings me happiness.
Right.
To everyone else, that's like, oh, fuck no. But this brings me the most happiness and peace.
Right.
So I lean on that. And it's not fame. It's not 100 likes. It's nothing like that. And it's cool for other people. That gives you the dopamine hits. And
Yeah.
that's cool. But there's this other thing that's, to me, I could get it anytime I want. I can get a hit of that anytime I want. Nobody controls it.
Right.
I control this portion of happiness. And everyone else, I don't need you to give me permission by your likes, right? Or by you giving me a job to feel this certain type of ecstasy, validation, or whatever, or my worth. I aim at a different area, and it might have been by accident, I don't know, but probably not, because this is something I did want since I was a little boy, and I designed my life to go to that path while I did try all these other different things and failed. Right? I tried this. Oh shit, I'm actually not that good at that. Well, let me try this. Ooh, damn. Let me try this. I was like, all right, cool. But I was never depressed from those things. From failing, it was cool. I was like, yo, at least I tried.
Right.
You tried, you learned. You
it was
move
fun
on.
though. I met
Yeah.
so many great people. I still talk to them. We're friends,
Yeah.
and I have a lot of experience about those type of industries. But at the end of the day, like I said, it doesn't matter if you fail. You got this people to support you. You got this. So I always can, like I said, I can always reach into this bag of happy. It's always there for me because it's something that's mine. It's not something that I need permission or validate. Nobody, there's no gatekeeper. There's nobody.
Nobody's telling you to be happy
Nothing.
or sad or
Right.
whatever.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And it isn't like cuckoo happy. It's not like, you know, it's a peaceful happy. And that's my favorite happy. It's this clarity and peaceful happy where I'm just kind of, I don't want to be drunk off of happiness, although those moments are amazing, right? But let's keep it real. It's not realistic. Just like I love laughing to the point where I can't control it. Right, where you're just kind of, you try so hard and you're just exploding with a few friends. Those are the best kinds of laughs, right? And I understand I can't get that all the time, right? It's actually pretty rare. So I do find moments that I can just laugh, and that's cool too. So I look for those happies, the little happy moments, and that's, to me, keeps me level and
Right.
balanced. Because getting too high, because guess what? When you fall down from that,
That's gonna hurt.
I'd like to keep myself at happy at one like, and that's me. As long as
Right.
I like that shit, then fuck all y'all.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. That's definitely, like, I mean, that's a whole other subject of social media and perceptions and social media itself. I mean, like, it's unfortunate that, people define themselves based on those likes, those comments and engagement, right? With the industry that I'm in, I have no choice. I have to be on
You
there.
have to. That's your business card.
And to be completely honest, I went through that phase of, oh man, this picture only got like 300-400 likes when the one before got over 1,000, and I'm like, okay, let me delete this picture and repost it at a more at a better time, or like, oh, this picture doesn't look good for my grid, it doesn't match the aesthetics. It's like, man, like that, I literally went through that for like a couple of years of constantly like, okay, it's 8:00 p.m. My audience is active right now. I need to post this right now. Oh man, within a half hour, if I don't get the engagement necessarily, the algorithm's not going to like it enough for it to push it to more people. It's not going to go on the explore page. Like, man, like that was so poisonous in my life. Like, and then let's not even get into like, okay, what captions and hashtags I need to use,
gosh, yeah.
right? Because think about the amount of time that I took into just doing that, then not getting the results that I wanted, then deleting it, and then
That shit will fuck up your day, right?
Fucks up.
I know so many people like that. We know so many people like that.
And now,
Yeah.
to be honest, like it took me a while, but now I just post whatever the fuck I want.
You're free.
Is my engagement as high as it once was? No. And I'm ready. And do I get as much advertising benefits as I used to? No. But I don't freak out before bed when I need to post. I don't stress about things that really just don't matter, because these are things that are like what you see on my Instagram is only a tiny reflection of what my life looks like.
real.
So like when people, these people that I know, they come to me and they're like, oh man, looks like you're living the life, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whose life are you talking about? Like I tell people like, yo, bro, like I'm still working the grind. I still have to pay New York City rent just like you do, like just because I attend a couple events or I do cool things, it doesn't mean that that's my life 24/7. And once I took a step away from actually giving a shit of what my feed looks like, how many likes I'm getting, how many shares, engagements. No, yeah, is it cool when it happens and when you go viral every so often? Yes. And I'm grateful, but like I find such a huge weight just lifted off my shoulders now that I just really just don't give a fuck.
People were telling us like, yo, do it this, and we would pay attention to it in the beginning when we're starting out. We put out this stuff for free, right? People do donate to our Patreon, which we, certainly appreciate. But other than that, like we don't really, we do have a few sponsors that came at us, but we're just like,
just didn't work with the vibe of the show. And,
yeah. We didn't really feel
so.
that. And then at times, like, yeah, some videos will get thousands of views. Some videos will get less than 100. And it's kind of crazy, right? We're in that weird place of YouTube where sometimes it just, I don't know how their algorithm works because they're constantly like updating it. But sometimes like it just, like it could be a year later, one of our videos would just start going It's like,
Wow.
wow.
The trend.
And then Norm and I got to the point like, we don't care. Like, dude, if it gets like 10, 20 videos, views, like, and it doesn't, but I'm just saying if it does, like, we just come to a point where we just can learn from one another. And I think it's important for everyone, even the people listening to the podcast, that you go out there and kind of have your own face-to-face dialogue. Put yourself in a situation. But a lot of people these days, they just don't make the time for it. And that kind of sucks. Because back in the day, they did. But this everybody's
there's
too
no
fucking
social
busy.
media. There's no,
Because of social media. They're
know.
too busy checking. They're too busy doing everything else that's not making them happy.
Yeah.
When the happiest shit you can do is develop real relationship, real conversation with real fucking people.
I feel like in that aspect, we're kind of devolving. I mean, think about it. You go to an elevator, you go to the train, everyone's heads down. When was the last time you ever looked someone in the eye, right? You know, what's that saying?
No, I always do
your
that.
eyes
I always
are
stare at
the-
people.
Yeah, your
But
eyes
that's
Windows to
weird
your
though.
soul.
But that's
Right.
weird though.
Well, it's weird now,
Yeah.
but like back when there was no cell phones, like, you know, you look people in the eye and you would talk to them.
You'd be like,
Your
"Hey,
eyes are the
how's it going?"
windows to the soul, right? You speak with your eyes, and that I feel like at least with this, with phones and like, literally, like, I'm the kind of person that can walk into an elevator. If there's someone who's already there, I can strike up a conversation easy, no problem. But like, and there've been a couple times where I would just say, "Hey, what's up? Great shoes," or whatever, and they'd acknowledge that they heard me, like, thanks, and then go back to their phone. Like,
Here's the thing though, it's not because in those situations, I don't think it's because they're obsessed with their phone. I think their phone just allows them to be introverted. I think
Could
we've
be.
gotten to a point where we just don't know what to say after that. Like you say, great shoes. Okay, thanks, weirdo. Like,
yeah, fair enough.
you know,
It's like a
like-
stranger coming in my
Yeah,
shoes.
it's
I don't know how to
like,
respond
bro,
to that.
like,
Is he gonna rob my
yeah,
shoes? Or
yeah, like what's going on?
All
Like,
right, just a disclaimer. The I mean, I do talk to random people on the elevator all the time, just because I'm just
I know
such a
people.
sociable-
I know people.
you know,
who do that.
I'm fairly confident I don't come off as a weirdo, but I'm fairly confident. But I would say more often than not, people will actually, at the very least, conversate
I
and
acknowledge you.
acknowledge you. They're not like, I mean, there have been a couple times where, okay, I'm sure they're thinking in their head, okay, weirdo, leave me alone, stranger danger, right?
Yeah.
But like, oftentimes it's like, because like, I look at it like, I'm the kind of person that likes to conversate. I'm the kind of person, I mean, hell, I wouldn't be a television host and an MC if I didn't like to talk, right? So I like learning about people. I like learning about new experiences, and I like sharing my story, and I like hearing other people's stories, you know? Like, it upsets me that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I oftentimes, especially when there's crazy people on the train, my head is down on my phone, you know? There are days where I just don't want to communicate with other people, but it's hard. I like to communicate with my eyes, like I said earlier. But when nobody makes eye contact with anyone anymore,
that's the thing.
it's weird.
For them, they're not used to having a conversation that's not through texting. Because the thing about texting, you can, look to another resource on how to respond to this, right? Or you could give yourself more time to think about it, right? Or wait till your emotions change about it, right? So being here in a moment, they're not sure how to play it. So that's why a lot of people this day and age, whereas back then the people were more animated, there was less filters.
Yeah.
And then you kind of walk away feeling like, oh fuck, man, did I fuck up that conversation?
Yeah.
That person didn't really, and we kind of get it. Oh, maybe next time I'll just be quiet. Maybe I'll just stare at my phone next time.
And also, you were saying about how the internet and phones have caused us to have some level of ADD. Like, I mean, look at us. We've been conversating for well over an hour. Not one of us have touched our phones.
No.
Right? Like,
I didn't touch it, but I looked.
Fair enough. like my phone's on my side. I haven't looked at it. I haven't had a desire to look at it because we've been having such a great conversation. But like, I'm sure you guys have had guests on here where they couldn't stop looking at their phones, right? While they were,
I don't know.
no,
A lot of the
actually-
times, yeah.
They're pretty much like you.
Because I picked the great guests, you know.
Oh, fair
that
enough.
are focused and
I
conversing
recall,
with us.
I won't mention any names, but I've interviewed people like for TV segments where, it initially made me insecure because I'm like, maybe I'm asking boring questions, but they would look at their phone.
Maybe they had their notes
Oh.
there. Come
They're
on,
looking at their Instagram. I'm like, that's definitely not your notes.
some people just don't have the energy to talk to someone.
That's true.
One of my closest friends, and you know him well, he's a introvert, And he told me like, well, man, and I didn't know this, right? And I'm somewhat of an introvert myself at times. I think I'm an ambivert. Right? I could go depend on
both ways.
But he told me, he goes, Will, man, after fucking being out with these motherfucking, like just talking to people like that and smiling, like he goes, you don't know how tired I get. I'm like, really? He goes, that's why I'm just like flat, you know, by the time I come out of this shit. He's like, I don't know how the fuck all of you guys do this shit. And I was like, really? You feel like that? He was like, yo, you don't know, Will, man. It's tired.
It's like a workout.
Training, right?
Yeah. And then I'm like, well, how about me? You talk to me all the fucking time. I was like, so you feel tired after talking to me? He's
I guess
like,
it's not a workout.
he goes, well, I'm more comfortable with you. With you, I don't have to put up like
A face.
facade. Yeah, I don't have to put up a
Right,
face.
yeah.
Like I'm comfortable. I could say crazy shit, and I know you won't judge me for it. You know that I'm me.
Right,
you know,
right,
and
right,
I'm
right.
just like, oh, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
You know, because for me, at times when I'm with people,
If you're not being yourself,
I get energy.
How tiring is that if
Yeah.
you're not being your true self?
but
right?
I get energy being around people.
Yeah.
Like
Same.
right.
Same.
So that's a trait of an extrovert.
Huh.
Yeah,
Do I
like,
get energy from
I
people?
I feed off of, like, for example,
I'm definitely an
even if I'm
introvert.
at the gym, and there's like really not anyone there but me,
Yeah.
I still get into work, right?
Yeah.
But if there's other people there for I don't know, this animal shit comes on my head,
Competition.
and I just no, it's not competition really, because
That mindset.
I'm not trying to outlift a girl or a guy
Yeah.
or impress them,
Right.
But when there's people around me, I get energy. It's this thing. Even like if I'm at a basketball court,
Yeah.
if I'm shooting around, I'll be kind of like, but there's other people come shooting around. I sharpen my focus. I get more energy. There's more bounce in my step than if I'm just shooting around by myself. It's weird. I get a lot. I feed off of people around me.
Yep.
It's you know what I'm talking
I know
about.
exactly what you're talking. I just had this conversation last night with somebody about energies, positive energies, and negative energies, which is also very, like, if you're gonna sulk and or
I stay away from that shit.
Yeah,
because
it's
that
contagious.
it's contagious.
Contagious.
Yeah,
Positive
like that as well.
and negative energy is contagious. Like, I actually didn't really believe in the whole energy thing until my best friend actually started speaking about it to me, and I really didn't think anything of it until like I really started, I'm like, okay, let me keep an open mind and about this whole energies thing, right? Because I've always known that I'm the kind of person who gives high energy. That doesn't necessarily mean positive energy, right? But I recognize, okay, let me just, I'm always talking about positivity, and that's what I try to put out into the world, and that's brought back to me other positive people. But then when I come across someone who's negative, I feel it.
Yeah.
Like when someone's like a negative Nancy or like a pessimistic Patty, you know what I mean? Like, wow, that's super lame to say that, but like I'm kind of I feel like I'm being brought down a peg or two, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
If someone only wants to talk, I mean, like, like you were saying earlier, everyone deserves the right to feel a negative way or to mourn after a passing, I get that.
But just to create something out of nothing.
Just to create
That's a
something
whole
out of
nother-
nothing, or I'm meeting you for the first time and you're automatically giving out these negative, weird vibes, like that brings me down a peg, and I don't want to be brought down a peg.
It's because that's where they're most comfortable. That's who they are. They like talking about other people. To them, it makes sense. They feel like that's the only way they know how to socialize, right? And that's why most people, they can only talk about celebrities. They can only talk about their circle of friends. They can only talk shit about this and talk shit about this. And when they do speak positively about something, it doesn't sound genuine.
Right.
It sounds fake.
Right,
It sounds forced. And those type of people, I'd really like to avoid with everything, because the way I go, if I'm with you and you're saying all this crazy shit about this person, then when I'm not with you, you must be saying a lot of crazy shit about me. And that to me just is unsettling. And I know some people are going to talk shit, and that's fine. But knowing that we are so close right now, and that you could get more information on me to kind of twist and use against me, so that you can feel you can socialize and gossip or do whatever it is, it's unsettling for me. It's uncomfortable. And I'd rather talk about ideas. I'd rather talk about what else is going on in the world, or maybe something philosophical, maybe something funny, or something that's cool that I may not, a cool spot, something like that, rather than belittling someone.
Yeah, agreed.
Or we could talk about our experiences. That's cool too. And if that somehow goes into a negative path, I think that's okay, because then I can share some of what happened, but that's not being negative.
Right. Exactly.
Right? There's a difference. There's
Yeah.
a big difference in that. So
But
I
it's
invite
also
those
like
conversations.
within the first 10 seconds of you meeting someone new, you already feel that energy. You can already kind of tell.
and it
Like,
feels dirty, doesn't it?
feels, yeah,
Like you
actually
kind of just
dirty.
like, oh fuck,
Like,
man.
Like dirty in the sense like,
I know how you feel because I was on this date, right? And I invited her over to my friend's place, and he has a nice place, he lives in a high rise building, and the girl comes in. Right when she comes in, she says, "I hate my boss. I hate my coworkers." The negative energy. I was like, "Oh shit!" The first thought in my head was, "How do I get out of this date?" You know, I didn't want to continue it
Wow.
at all. You know, so. You just like, you don't want to be around that,
Right.
You know, especially when and this is the first time I'm meeting this person. And so hearing all this negative things about you hate your coworkers and your boss and everything like that. And I'm like, there's no way we can even continue a relationship,
Right.
you know, after this, whatever conversation we're going to have. So I try to like, tell my friend to call me and say like, oh, you're my brother. And he broke down his car and I have to go. And I just told her that I had to leave.
Oh,
damn.
damn.
Ended the date like within
Now she's
like
gonna
15
say,
minutes.
I hate this Asian dating
No,
guy. Like,
no, dude.
This guy's making it harder for other Asian
No,
guys.
well, I mean, the next
You already
day,
have it hard enough, Norm. Come on now.
the next
I
day,
joke.
this is a little while back, but this is the next day she actually asked me like how my brother was, and I was like, I felt super bad.
Oh,
But hey,
Maybe she's not a negative person. Maybe
no. The conversation.
caught her in the moment.
I mean, yeah, the moment, but the conversation didn't stay away from that like negativity.
Oh, she
So
kinda,
she wanted to like stick to it,
she
and
had
I'm
the
like,
Falcon claws on
yeah,
it.
yeah. And I tried to change the subject, but it
constantly
wasn't.
negative the entire, like the first like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It was just constant negative.
Yeah, I didn't want to be.
And that was
around
you said this was a date, a first date.
first date, first meeting, first date. Yeah,
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a red flag because if y'all not even serious yet, that gives you a big window. Like, if that's the first shit you taste,
that's
you're
the
going to want
personality
to spit
that
it
this
out.
person had. You know,
I mean, I
this
think it's
is-
okay for her to share with you her
Bad
disappointment
day,
with work.
right? Yeah.
Or even during the date, it's okay to say, yeah, I'm in a position where I don't like enjoy working where I work because I don't like my coworkers and my boss. But like to constantly dwell on that and make
Yeah.
that the focal point of 80% of your conversation. Yeah, I wouldn't want a second date either.
I mean, this is the first meeting. I mean, come on, man.
first
I don't want-
meeting too.
So-
Yeah.
Was she pretty, attractive to you? That's why.
So you're saying like if the physical attraction level was different.
Then the negative scale. Instead of crazy, we have the negative scale. There's so much you would
Know
pull.
about that.
Let's
Like,
say.
would you compromise more if you were more physically attracted?
I would
to
have
her?
extended
That's
the
the thing.
conversation a little longer. Yes, but it didn't. It didn't go anywhere. So
I'm gonna call BS on that.
no, even
if she was like Halle Berry walking in and she was like, I hate my job, I hate my day.
Yeah.
Would you be like, hey, car broke down, I gotta bounce?
well, I mean, not that instinct. I mean,
Or
instant,
you
right?
would be
So-
like, oh really? Fuck.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
here to listen. You know, tell me your
all
day.
about it.
Tell me your problems.
You sound like you need a drink. You want a drink? You want to get a drink? You know, be completely different. You'll kind of massage that whole negativity out of her.
Wait, do you want a foot massage?
That's not the only thing he wants to massage.
See, isn't it funny though? There is like just some.
Actually,
some things
I don't
would-
know. I actually don't know if that situation ever happened again. Maybe I would have reacted differently, but I wouldn't know.
But yeah, generally it is.
Me
it is-
personally, I would have probably done the same thing. Like honestly, like if that person, if the date didn't go well, I'm not gonna prolong the date.
I
You know what I'm
can
saying?
admit that I've been on similar dates where I was just not attracted to the things that she was saying, you know. But I and this is me and my younger self, and this might have actually happened recently. I've just blocked it out of my memory. But I have in the past compromised certain. If the more attracted I was to my date, there were more things I was willing to compromise, but knowing that it
probably wouldn't lead anywhere.
It probably wouldn't lead anywhere, but I would compromise certain. I would give her more opportunities to
Redeem yourself.
not redeem. That sounds terrible, but like I would. At the end of the day, it's my fault because there are clear red flags, and I'm overlooking it purely because I'm physically attracted, and I tell myself that I'm not going to do that anymore. Like even if I were to like go on a date with like a superstar, I keep telling myself that I'm not going to compromise certain values, certain things.
Gemma Chan.
I think some things might be more compromised with her, but you know, like I mean, like Gemma Chan, God, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like if I was on a date with Gemma Chan and she straight up told me how miserable she was for the first 20 minutes of my life, I'll be completely honest. I'll give her another hour to try to tell me how beautiful her life is. You know,
I think I would if I was really attracted to a girl. I mean, I have made compromises where, but it didn't feel like a compromise. You know, it felt more like I'm so attracted to her because let's face it, like looks are gotta be there to begin with. There's got to be something that attracts you, like
I agree.
physically. That's what attracts you. Like, oh my gosh, that looks beautiful. I mean, that's just in nature, right? That's a natural thing, and then personality's there to stay, right? That's what locks you in. But if they're really attractive, and I mean like, just for some reason you're just head over heels, love at first sight type of shit, you're willing to put up with a lot of things that even like would usually turn you off. You're willing to give it like a second and a third and a fourth shot. We all have done it, even women. All right, I've had really close female friends that let their, you know, some guys. I would never date a guy that watches football all day. Next thing you know, like her boyfriend watches football all fucking day, right? I said to myself, I would never date a girl with bad breath. And this girl was super hot. She was super hot, but her breath was horrid.
It's kicking.
It was, that kicking is putting it mildly. And I was like, I tried to figure out why her breath stank so much. And I think it's because she didn't drink enough water. She was always fucking dry. Like, and it was the worst when we would party. And she would drink beer, like have a beer here and there.
Makes you dry, yeah.
And it makes it even worse.
Yeah.
And then she would try to kiss me, and with beer breath, and I would just kind of like I'd be Mayweather would be off the Philly roll of like,
gosh, it does sound harsh, but that is
right?
the truth, right? Like, there are things that you are willing to, you know,
gloss over,
depending on your
attraction. But not only that, but you could be attracted to, and I'm just talking about physical, but once you get to know someone, their personality could be attractive.
Right.
And they can have flaws in the other way where they're not physically attractive. But you're willing to overlook that because their personality is so unique.
Yeah.
Maybe they're funny and you're not used to meeting a funny ass girl that can make you laugh.
Right.
Maybe she's not what a society tells you is beautiful. So I understand it on both ways. You could be attracted to someone physically.
There's different levels of attraction.
And you sound like you dated a lot of girls from different races, right?
Well, I've had my fair share.
What would you say is different from dating an Asian girl?
I like dating Asian girls because even though we may not represent the same culture, the same country, there are some underlying similarities culturally that extend through many countries in Asia, right? Like
rice,
right? Or you enter someone's house, what's the first thing you do?
Yeah, you gotta take them
damn
shoes
off your
off.
shoes, right?
Yeah.
Like that's like understood. Doesn't matter if you're in Indonesia, if you're in Laos, China, Japan, or Korea.
Yeah.
Like you walk into any of their houses, the first thing you do, you take off your shoes, right? Little things like that. I mean, you know, there are bigger things, but like I like that understanding that despite the fact that we may represent different countries or cultures, there are still similarities. Whether it's, like you said, food, right? Rice, noodles, like, you know, there are differences, but at the same time, there are similarities. So I like that feeling of different but same, you know,
I know exactly what
when
you mean.
When it comes to dating Asian women specifically.
Yeah.
When it comes to dating women of other races, I'm completely open to it, you know, and I have. And it's an opportunity for me to learn through, you know, on the eyes of someone else, like their culture, their food, how they were raised, and, you know, and I look at it as a learning experience. My preference is I definitely do like dating. My preference is definitely dating Asian girls, because I like that familiarity, you know, in addition to my attraction for Asian women as well. But yeah, dating outside of Asian, I would say, it is different. My biggest thing is I like that familiarity, you know, like when I had a couple exes who were Chinese and their culture is radically different than Indonesian culture, right? But at the same time, we had these, like, you know, understandings that, you know, like me, Norm, like there are certain things that we understand just as Asians that we just don't have to speak about it, but we understand, you know? And it's the same way when you date an Asian girl, when you date someone of your same culture, or, you know, that I did not get when, you know, I remember I dated this one girl, she was white, and when I entered her house for the first time, I took off my shoes. And she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like,
Wow. Like, I don't want to mess up your floor,
you
girl.
Yeah,
That's what I'm doing.
So she didn't get that. She thought it was strange.
I mean, like, this is also like 7-8 years ago.
Okay.
This particular instance was like about 7-8 years ago. And I mean, I wasn't offended. I was just kind of like, okay, I guess I'll put my shoes on. Like, I find it weird to wear shoes indoors. Like,
so do I.
Inside someone's house.
I don't even find it weird. I find it gross.
I find it gross.
It's dirty.
Especially if it's carpet.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Yeah, that's super gross. There's two things. And it's very small, but it's very big. Like, it's shoes inside the house. Like, if you're walking around New York City and you going into my crib, like, you taking your damn shoes off. That's one.
Yeah.
Two.
What a sludge.
Like, you've been sitting on benches, subways, and all this shit, outside
You're not sitting
clothes.
on my bed.
Oh yeah.
You're
You
not
try to
sitting
get
on
on
my
my
bed.
bed with that, that's dead.
Or even my sofa.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like,
You're cringing.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you need a pair of sweatpants?
I'll allow the sofa. I'll allow the sofa.
I mean, it's the sofa's
for
communal.
me is
you know?
yeah. Sofa for me is like I'm
Your
not
bed
a
is
problem.
your private
my
domain.
bed
you
is
know?
different though. Like
Sometimes
you
I pass
gotta-
out on my couch sometimes, or like
me too, but
or
yeah,
like
so do I.
I'll sit on my couch and then, like, you know, I'm in my sweats or my shorts. I'm about to go to bed right, and then you sit on your couch and then you go on your bed. You just carried half of that junk onto your bed, you know. So it's like it
Pet peeve.
pet peeve.
Yeah. I think that's predominantly an Asian thing. Like we kind of get that. Like right away we're like, oh, that's not weird. That's normal. But here's the thing, it's catching on. Like there's science has proven that you walk around with shoes in a house, you're spreading the germs all over the place. And
Yeah.
it's gross. It's scientifically proven. And a lot of people, I know some of my white friends, some of my Spanish friends, they take their shoes off.
Yeah.
They take their shoes off.
Yeah.
I went in their house. I went in their house and I'm so used to not taking my shoes off in their house. They were like, "Will, what the fuck you doing?" I was like, "What do you mean? Like, take your shoes off." And I was like, "What the fuck you doing?" And I looked on the side. There was like a bunch of shoes on the side. I was like,
I love that.
I was like, "Yo, when the fuck did y'all get turned Asian?" I was like, what's going on here? And they're like, "Will, it's nasty." I was like, "Yo, last time I was here, you was cool with it." He goes, "Yeah, that's last time. Take your shoes off." I was like, "Wow,
I learned.
man."
I
was
love
like,
it.
All right, I dig that. But all right, going back to dating. All right, so yeah, there's differences there. Does that difference carry over, that chemistry? Just forget about like just conversation. Does that chemistry carry over in like bed?
I mean,
Is it different when you make out with an Asian girl and when you make out with a girl who isn't Asian, or is when you're sleeping with a girl who's Asian versus when you're sleeping with a girl who's not Asian? Do you see any differences there?
I mean, not really. I mean, when it comes to intimacy, like, I'm trying to think. I'm like going through my memory banks right now, and I'm kind of just like, at the end of the day, like, I'm also not like a jerk that, like, you know, like I do it and then I leave. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very cordial. It doesn't matter what race you are. I'm gonna be, you know, I'll be there provided that you still want me there. And I don't know. I'm trying to think. It's kind of like, I don't think there was any personal difference for me based on their background, their race. I mean, how about you guys? Was that something that you guys experienced?
No.
With you, yeah, I know you
Because
dated a lot of girls outside
I've dated
of Asians.
Caucasian, I've dated Spanish, I've dated Asian. Intimacy, in the bedroom, there's no difference for me. No. What's the difference is, I guess, the the experience of the girl, and you know, kind of the size proportion. You know, it's different.
So
you know.
that's what I was gonna say. There is
know?
for me, there's an absolute difference.
Yeah.
How so?
Absolutely,
Oh, you saying like there's an actual difference culturally between.
for sure. So
Can you elaborate?
yeah, number one, body type,
Okay.
different.
Yeah, I mean,
Different.
Well,
like
people
yeah.
people have
Some-
all types of body types
Yeah.
from different
no,
races,
but like
right?
so Asian girls, like I'm not saying all, right,
but
but
more petite, you saying?
they're more petite.
Right.
They're absolutely more petite. And I dated a few Spanish girls, right? Just the ones that I dated was very voluptuous, right? And then some guys like petite, some guys like
And
voluptuous.
there's some petite Spanish girls too.
Yeah, and there's some girls that were a little heavier, and I was okay with that. But some girls were a little lighter. I was okay. Some girls were skinnier, naturally skinny. A lot of them had smaller hips,
Right.
whereas some other girls had larger hips.
Right. Right.
And it's just, and that plays a role. It feels different.
Yeah.
You know what? Now
know
that
what I mean?
Now that you put it in that perspective,
Some of them
yes.
have, it's different. Like I think the hair, the feel of the hair is also different, and just the body type. I'm speaking
I
like
get it.
gibberish.
I think it's more body type from my perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely see your point.
I think you're lying to yourself if you're saying there's no difference, or either that or you're unaware.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking, what I'm taking from what you're saying is, so Asian people are more aligned with other Asian people in terms of just physicality.
No.
No. Okay.
No, absolutely not. Like I think it depends on what you prefer. Like for example, if I like a certain body type, just like all right, let's just say I love dark skin, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Let's say
So
I
it's a
love
preference.
girls that are
It's
dark.
just a preference.
Visually, intimately, that's going to arouse me more, right? Because that's what I'm into, right? So when I kiss a girl that has dark skin or tan skin or brown skin, she could be Indian, she could be black, she could be Dominican.
For me, it was more of like, okay, my preference is physically is towards these women, but it never dawned on me to like, because of that physicality is actually associated with like a ethnicity.
Because if you're attracted to a girl,
Yeah.
I think you'll find that connection more. The more you're attracted
Oh,
to,
yeah.
you'll give
Oh
that
yeah,
effort.
1,000%.
That's what I'm saying.
1,000%.
not all Asians are petite, like you know,
Not
like
all Asians
that,
are petite. I'm
yeah.
not saying that, but you're just in my very small sample size. The girls that I dated that were Asian
have been in these categories,
and
right?
yeah,
Right,
they were
right, right,
petite.
right.
Yeah.
You know, and that said, I don't even have a preference of like Asian girls. Like you say, you get along with Asian girls,
I
right?
do.
You vibe with them. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I would say
But I don't have a preference. Like
Right.
Asian, white, black, Hispanic. It's just at the end of the day, I kind of just whatever have more chemistry with, I'll lock that down.
regardless of background, race, and or identity. Yeah, I get that.
Doesn't matter.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like what you like, and I think
Norm
that's-
married a Dominican girl. He just
Yeah, I saw that. Congratulations, brother.
Let me sit back down here. Yeah, I mean, culturally, I thought she was very, I mean, culturally similar to my background.
Right.
I had to take off my shoes when I visited her mom. So, I mean, there's so many similarities. I guess it just, to me, it was an eye-opening experience. Like, oh, we're not that different after all. Dating outside
did she
my
feel the
culture.
same way dating an Asian guy? Was she like, oh shit,
I
like
would love to know what her perspective was.
Yeah.
What was there any reservations? Did she
No.
think?
There was no reservations. And I asked her, like, did you have a fetish? Did you Asian fetish? She said, no. I thought you were cute. I thought, and I wanted to meet you.
were you cute for an Asian guy?
No, never. No. She said like regular. She didn't say for Asian guys. She was very open. So
That's dope.
yeah, and to me, I love that. The fact that it wasn't, oh, you love Asian culture, you're not into K-pop or anything like. Actually, that's kind of refreshing. Actually, right now she's watching all these like dramas, like
Asian dramas?
K-dramas, Asian dramas. I was like,
I watched a couple.
wow,
too.
these are
I watched a
interesting.
couple.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
she's Dominican, right?
Yeah, I know, and I
so
love-
her,
I
her
love-
background is so different. Like
Right.
from
she
that.
didn't didn't come from that.
Yeah, she didn't come from that.
Yeah.
I
She didn't
love
come
it.
from like, oh, Asian culture is the shit.
But I just
You
want
know?
people to misconstrue that Korean entertainment does not represent
The
all
whole
of
gamut
Asian.
of Asian.
Exactly. I mean, it just happens to be the one that is the most dominant at the moment.
But they're putting out some good shit.
They're putting out some quality
It is.
between Parasite, BTS, Squid Game. Like it
Yeah.
is absolutely excellent.
Their cinematography is off the damn chain.
It's
too.
amazing.
Yeah.
But I don't want people to misconstrue that as purely Asian entertainment because we
Like how they did with
so
Bruce
much.
Lee. Like everyone's
yeah.
Chinese.
I mean, look at Bollywood, right? Or Asia has so much to offer other than what we are currently being presented directly in front of our faces, which is predominantly South Korean entertainment. And I think it's great that South Korea has been able to get Asian entertainment into the eyes of the the mainstream consciousness what I'd like to see is it kind of open the door for other Asian cultures to be represented, whether it be like, I mean, I'm biased when I say Indonesian, but people don't even know that Indonesia is the 4th largest country in the world. Behind China, India, America is my country of Indonesia, but it doesn't even register a blip on anyone's consciousness. Now, you know, it's like South Korea objectively is a much smaller country, but its influence has reached the entire world. You know, I want to see Philippine culture. I want to see some dramas coming out of Hong Kong. I want to see stuff coming out of, you know, give me a country that is oftentimes under the radar. Laos. You know,
Yeah,
I
Vietnamese.
You know, Cambodia.
Yeah.
You know, these countries have so much to offer culturally,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
entertainment wise.
I had a blast hanging out in their countries. Oh,
yeah. I mean, you
it's
visited. I
my
lived there for a couple of years.
gosh, yeah, it's amazing.
Man, if you like, and I'm not saying that other countries offer better entertainment than than Korea. Objectively, I think Korea produces probably the best.
But
high
there's
quality.
there's different things that they can share.
Yes.
It may not be in the form of pop culture.
Yes.
But there's other things that are really fucking cool about.
And that's what I want. That's what I'm hoping that this K entertainment can do. And I hope it's not just limited to just Korea, because I pray that people will look at it and be like, oh wow, Asia is a viable resource for entertainment, culture, and whatever, and not just. And people will realize, well, hey, Asia just isn't one country, two countries. It's literally like a bunch of countries representing a bunch of different. One country can have like 400 different ethnic groups, right? Not everyone in China speaks Mandarin. Not everyone in Indonesia speaks Indonesian. Not everyone speaks Tagalog in Philippines. You know, and I know that because we're Asian, we recognize that. But what I really want is for other countries, especially countries that are constantly overlooked, to be given the opportunity to shine in the Western consciousness.
I think it'll get there as doors continue to be open. But it has to be in the form of, I think, pop culture first. It has to be in something that's
Like entertainment.
It has to be,
Yeah.
or food, right? It needs to be people like, I remember back in the day, people used to think that Asian food was really weird and exotic, right?
Yeah.
And now people are like, oh shit, ramen noodles, the jam, fuzz, the jam, sushi. Oh my gosh, like this is amazing. Thai food. Like people are really, and these are people there who aren't Asian. Yo, I'm having Thai tonight. I'm getting sushi. Will, you want to come along? Hey, Will, we're going here. And it's always an Asian spot, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are we always going to Asian spots?
It's the best.
But they say, we love Asian food. We love Asian food. And I'm just like, all right, cool, man. I was like, I'll dig it too. But, you know, don't think you're making me feel comfortable. Like I can eat other stuff too. I say that jokingly because they know what's up. But my point is, it is becoming more mainstream. Maybe not to the older generation, but the younger generation getting up. The world is a lot smarter because of social media. Because they can just look on their phones and see what everybody's doing in that part of the world, or someone else has, you know, some people that have travel or food vlogs or whatever, and they try different foods. So maybe some influencer that they follow, and they're going, oh, well, that does look delicious. You know, maybe that's their gateway to get in, is through that influencer. It's a different world we live in. And I think they're going to see that. They're going to find beauty in all these little countries. May not even be in Asia.
I think there's a lot of factors, like not just like entertainment, food. There's going to be like, you know, interracial marriages, all these intermingling of different cultures, people traveling. Technology is also pushing this. Like people, a lot of more people are traveling. I think all these things are going to give that opportunity to a lot of people to experience like the world. And I think that's going to push like everybody to understand each other a lot better.
Yeah,
absolutely. One last thing I want to touch on.
Sure.
All right, you're an activist. You took a break.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, is that strange that someone would be a part-time activist?
So,
and I don't mean that offensively.
no, of course, no, I didn't
Okay,
take it offensively. I'm just trying to articulate how to answer this. So, first and foremost, I am an entertainer. I'm a television host. It's my passion. It's my pleasure to do it. That's always taken priority in my life. And over the last year, or over the course of this pandemic, as our people collectively have been blamed, physically assaulted for a pandemic that had absolutely nothing to do with us, I found that I couldn't really just sit on the sidelines. At the very least, I had to do something about it. And it was, I'm blessed to say that, I don't think that I'm any more special than anybody else. I'm paying overpriced New York City rent just like everyone else, right? But I'm, I do have a little bit of a platform, and I needed to use it to educate and inspire people. And one of my best friends, his name's Jack Liang, he approached me. It was shortly after the Atlanta shootings, and he said, "We have to do something. This can't happen anymore. We can't keep constantly reading stories of grandmothers being burned. We can't constantly see Instagram videos of an Asian family being cussed out at a restaurant. Like, this isn't right." I myself had experienced racism in the subways, being called coronavirus, up until that point, and we couldn't sit back and do anything, and do nothing. Sorry. And so we helped. So he was the focal. I was just more or less his right hand. But he helped organize one of the largest rallies alongside the Fung Bros. That garnered a lot of media attention, raised over 10,000 people or something. I forget what the number was.
I was there. It was a lot of people.
You were there, right?
It was a lot. We were there.
Attended by Andrew Yang, Chuck Schumer, and I got the pleasure to MC that event, and it was great. And was
my gosh! Now that you mention, I do remember you MCing.
Yeah. Who's that kid?
Oh, yeah, I'm just connecting it now.
Yeah,
connecting it now. Okay, yeah.
That was me. It was my job to make sure that everyone was hyping, but I wanted to make sure that people recognize that we're not here for a day to chant rhymes and we're here to support the community. We wanted to help the community that was affected by the COVID, but also bring awareness to non-Asians. But we also wanted to, for our fellow Asians, we wanted to bring us together.
There was a lot of other people of color there.
They made
up a good percentage of that 10,000.
It was a blessing to see other people of color there to support us, as well as our Caucasian allies as well. Yes. It was fantastic to see that much diversity in one setting, fighting for the same causes. Now, if you just attended like you guys did and you saw how many people were there, it was fantastic. It was great. What you guys didn't see was the amount of stress that went into it. And God bless Jack, because he was the one that literally, he worked his hands to the bone to make this event happen. And so
he's the one that spearheaded this whole thing.
He spearheaded the entire thing. And anyone that says any different, I'll straight up say is a liar. Anyone else that was involved was in fact co-organizers, as like I was myself, but anyone else that tries to take credit for anything more than that is a straight up liar. Mm-hmm. Jack Liang was pretty much responsible for the entire event.
I thought that other people were the ones that spearheaded this.
It's unfortunate, and it's unfortunate because you were saying why I'm doing this part-time as opposed to full-time is because I can admit that I got a little jaded. Jack and I, after that first successful event, we hosted another event in Times Square. We completely shut down Times Square. Is that the one
Rihanna popped up in?
Yep, that's the one Rihanna came to. And Rihanna came to our event unknowingly. Of course, she was wearing a mask and everything, but like we found out after the fact. But it was intense. As in myself and Jack, who pretty much spearheaded the Times Square one as well. We found that there were a lot of people who were in it for performative reasons. They were not in it because they truly felt that they were helping the community. They felt like it was, if to us, or let me speak on behalf of myself. It felt like a lot of people, especially these names that you've been hearing that were not Jack Liang, were doing it as an opportunity to gain clout and to gain influence. And it was just not, it just didn't feel authentic. And the fact that people have to show it off and talk about, why does it have to matter that people have to know that you did it? You were surprised that Jack was the one who spearheaded the entire thing, because he doesn't care about his name being all over the papers. He doesn't care about taking credit. I mean, but of course, when you hear about other people taking the credit for the hard work that you did, then of course it's a little,
It's upsetting.
It's upsetting. And and I too was upset, and I too gained some media exposure in my home country of Indonesia. But I always gave credit where credit is due. But yeah, I mean, he is.
So that's why you took a step back, because
I took a step back also because
those points of frustration.
The points of frustration, and because it's almost the amount of stress to put on these events as well. I speak on behalf of myself. Like I didn't take the brunt of a lot. No, let me phrase that actually. I actually got attacked a lot on social media from various members of both our community and outside, purely because I had more Instagram followers, or because I was verified, and people used me to voice. They would say that I was not inclusive, and they wouldn't say it in a very polite way. They would say it like, I had the best intentions of doing what I did, but and I'm not going to be able to please everyone. I try my best to include everyone, and no matter how hard you try, you will upset certain people, and people try to use my platform as a way to attack me. And it was a feeling I didn't personally like, and also I had came to the realization that while I feel like I was doing important things for the community, like I'm telling you, I was getting harassed. I was getting comments. I was getting DMs.
Any death threats?
Not death. I mean, not that I've read, because there were some messages that I just didn't read.
Mm-hmm.
But it was. I'm like, wait a minute. At
But
the end
why?
of the day,
Like, why did they disagree with how you were doing something, or did they think that you were doing it because you had another agenda?
I don't think it was that. I think it was just, to be honest, I think it was some people didn't feel that certain subgroups were represented properly, and that was not the intent. Our intent was to bring to light situations to build and rally the community, to just have a day or have days where we can just come together as a community and believe in something and get our message across and unite other people of colors and white allies, Caucasian allies. There was no intent. Our intent was just to bring together a hurt community. Mm-hmm. That was it.
So what was their gripe with you?
Their gripe with me was, well, with the organizers all in, generally, or some of it was like, oh, it's not inclusive enough, or like I believe like
to other Asians,
to certain, for example, one of them I believe said there wasn't enough LGBTQ representation, despite the fact that we had a couple representing, and some of it was politically fueled. Like, for example, we had Andrew Yang come up on stage, and he, whether you support him or not, he's a politician. You're either going to love him or you're going to hate him. And because we did bring him on stage, that is kind of like that's like, I guess, an endorsement of.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And at the time he was running.
He was running for mayor,
right,
in New York City for that time.
So,
yeah.
But when you have a Chuck Schumer, or when you have someone of political influence like that who wants to speak on, speak to her community, we're going to give him that platform if we believe that he's going to help the situation, mm-hmm. right? but not everybody agrees politically, which is their right. I just didn't think it was. I just didn't think that attacking the guy with the most Instagram followers is gonna make any difference. But it definitely made me like I'm a little, like, I don't know if I can constantly, like, if at the time my mindset was just like, okay, I need to take a step back, But even though we stopped being at the forefront of the rallies and stuff like that, I was still attending other, like, particularly Black Lives Matter rallies, right? So I never stopped being an activist. I just stopped
Being the forefront.
being in the I don't want to say, because I don't want to take, I want to give as much credit as I can to my best friend Jack, because he is the freaking man when it came to it. But yeah, I think it was just a lot of
Pressure.
not pressure. It was just a lot of, you're dealing with a lot of people, a lot of egos, and a lot of hidden agendas, And when something's not clear to me, and I don't know people's motivations and whatever, it's just an unnecessary stress. And I want to keep my hair black. I don't want to get white. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to lose hair.
Or gray.
But yeah, I mean, I still attend rallies when and where I see them. I'm still very, very closely linked with a lot of other Stop Asian Hate figures. It's just, I've taken a step back.
The role has changed.
My role, and I will still passionately speak about it when I feel it's appropriate, but I don't jam it down anyone's throat. So it's my biggest concern is that I wrote a post not too long ago where I did a job for someone, and they called me Viet Cong as they were giving me the check.
Oh my God.
Payment, right? And as I was educating him that I was Indonesian, and in fact it was two different countries, and why it was inappropriate to call me that, I wrote that on my Instagram, and I also said, hey, Stop Asian Hate isn't in my opinion, this is my opinion, that Stop Asian Hate shouldn't just be that one thing, that one rally you went to that one time. It shouldn't be a fad. It should be a real thing. And despite the fact that I don't post about it as much, and I still occasionally post it, just so people don't forget, hey, we are still facing some level of persecution, some level of discrimination, but like, it is a little sad to see, like, it's not as, because I still see stuff on the news. Asian lady gets attacked. Asian family gets attacked.
Well, recently, an Asian woman just got punched in the head for no reason.
Yeah.
And they're searching for that lady because she actually said, they said this classifies as a hate crime because she did say racist things before she punched her.
I wish there were more actions that could be taken. I wish for less performative activism and more actionable things to be done.
Why do you think there's performative activism? Is it just to get their social media numbers up?
That is definitely, in my opinion, that is definitely one of them. I do believe that is a very big reason, is because people want social clout. I believe that people want to.
But do you think people see through it? Like
certain individuals, yeah. I've made it clear to a lot of people that I work with, that I've collaborated with. Yes, I want to assist, but first and foremost, I am an entertainer. I am an entertainer. I am a television host, like that. That I want to use my platform to help as best I can, and I will say the things I need to say, and I will do the things that I need to do to help assist. But there's only a certain level that I'm willing to, personally do. I need to focus on my career, and I apologize if that sounds insensitive or anything, but that doesn't mean I'm completely taking myself outside of it. I'm still supporting when and where I can in my own personal capacity.
I see. I mean, the words, I don't want to get overly emotional or upset, but just the things that are done to people that I know. I know people that have been attacked, people close to me. They were jumped, assaulted, or their kids. People had said those things to them, and being there trying to fight for it. And I heard from a lot of people, we know a lot of people that are part of this movement that's bringing awareness, that's fighting for us to have better laws in place at the very least to address this, right? And what it seems like to me is that we're divided in some sense.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about the Asian community in general.
Yeah, because there's so many and I don't know why, but there's just so many different paths that they want to take. The end goal is the same, right? It's to stop Asian hate.
Right.
But how we get there, that's where it's different.
People have
and
opinions
that's
on
what
that,
we're fighting about. And at the same time, what I'm saying is, I don't care how we get there. If we get there, fucking great. Because we're doing it
But if we
sort
get,
of for us, but more for the future generation.
If we get there in a way that goes against what you believe in, but the end goal is the same, is what you want, how does that make you feel?
If it means, and I know that, it's one of those, do the ends justify the means, right? If we're going to war, and it's tough, it's not the sexy answer, but if we're going to war, you're going to crack a few eggshells to make an omelet, right? Then so be it. Because at the end of the day, if it means that we survive or we die slow, I'm going to choose survive all day. I'm going to choose survive 100% than to die slow, right? Not wanting to stick around to see more innocent people get assaulted just because they look a certain way. I mean, that's fucking crazy in 2021. Yeah. It is absolute, and it's not, it's things that go against the rules. When we talked about man up earlier, well, part of that culture back in the day, you don't attack women and children. No. You don't attack grandmas and grandpas. This little 5-6-year-old boy got his face slashed while with his father while he was at a market. Another one that I saw, a video that I saw, there's another one, has a baby in a stroller. Did you see that one? I think it was out in California. And then all of a sudden the dude just started wailing on him while the baby's in the stroller. Now the stroller's starting to roll out off the curb. I mean, that can't happen. That can happen. So does some things need to get addressed? I think so. I think so. And it may not, and I know things don't happen overnight, but if it means that the future generation, our kids, our grandkids, our great grandkids will be okay, then we do what we have to do. We do what we have to do to create, and if that means make a strong push collectively, and if we all want to go there separately, which I think creates more friction and makes things way harder on everyone, but if we get there like that, then I'm okay with it. But if we can consolidate our power, then we could, strategically, warlike, if you're going to war, strategically, if you consolidate your power into focus into one point, you'll break through it a lot faster than going all these different fucking directions and trying to distract each other while going there. Right. If you put all that energy into one area, you're going to be able to make a breakthrough. Right. You can still separately, but it's going to take a lot longer.
It's unfortunate, but the realization is that that's probably what's going to happen, is that we're not going to collectively agree on one way to do it. In fact, it's not going to be two. It's going to be like a million different ways.
Unless we have a leader that everyone agrees, this is the guy.
I don't know that will happen, because when you look at MLK and Malcolm, they had differing agendas, but ultimately they wanted to achieve the same thing.
Right, but it did consolidate the ideas.
Yes, like it did motivate people, inspire people to push.
It was fractionalized, right? But when you have that, at least it made it sharper, right? It influenced, and it actually influenced people that may not have been part of the movement or very casually about it. Maybe they went to one event. Maybe this time they were like, no, we need to. Or maybe it sparked someone after 20 years from now, 30 years from now. Maybe that voice sparked the change into the next person that's going to be able to make a big difference. Right. So that's what's important. Yeah. When you're doing things like this, It's really more about the long game. MLK had to know that his life was
the changes he wanted to see.
He wasn't gonna
see
like.
them.
I think he would be surprised if he got to live a full life. You know, I think when you're taking a role like that at that time,
And he was a young dude too. I think in 30s.
yeah. I mean, gosh, imagine if he was alive today. I mean, imagine all our heroes was alive today. What it would be like?
I mean, I think if he were alive right now, he'd see the progress, but I think he'd also understand that racism is still alive and well, you know, and there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah, but there's some reason it just seems weird when there's someone that's not part of the system, when there's an outlier that has the power to influence people. That person usually gets shut down. And I think people are aware of that. So I think that's why a lot of people tend to stay in their lane because they're not willing to die for this shit.
But then you also have but it also goes the other way because you have other people in power who are not exactly shy about the way they feel, or, you know, people in power who are no longer in power at the moment. I think we know who we're talking about. You know, their rhetoric fuels a lot of hatred and division as well, and continues, you know, like it's almost the antithesis to MLK.
I think it was alive and well before him. I think to give that person that much credit is not looking at the real problems.
Fair enough.
I think he certainly didn't help.
But do you think he like amplified it and made it okay for it to be more public? Talking about
Voldemort?
I was talking about Trump. But if people, I mean, you know, he is very influential. He was the president of this country, and you know, I'm sure there are people who are looking at him and saying, well, if the president is saying that, if he can say that, it's emboldening me, it's empowering me to say the same things.
But let me ask you something. Did it stop when Biden came into office?
No. I mean, it's
so
still
that's
there.
my point.
Right.
That's my point. Right. Biden's been in office for a while now. Asian attacks are still occurring.
Yeah.
Right. And I knew that. I mean, we had guests on the show before blaming Trump, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, hold on there. Pump the brakes. That's not the root. I mean, the root of the problem goes much deeper. It was there before Trump got on.
Right.
Right. It was there after Trump got on. So what are we? We're gonna blame Trump before? We're gonna blame Trump again after? Like, what are we doing here? We got to look at the real issues here, right? Yeah, it's someone can come up and say something crazy, but you know what I mean? We could put a good person in that seat, and it's still prevalent, and nothing's been changed.
Yeah.
What's the real issue? It's the laws around it, okay, and it's the media around it. We need those two things. We need the laws to toughen up on these hate crimes and correctly
Media
label
coverage,
it.
yeah.
And the second thing, you need the right media coverage to vilify these actions appropriately, right? I think that's the first two steps we have to take. And then we can do everything else afterwards. And then anybody else that says that type of shit, right? Now, when you have a politician or you have an entertainer, if they say something really crazy, right, then everyone collectively, even people in their own camp, will go, yo, chill, bro. That's not cool, man. You can't joke like that. Like, that's not, nobody's rocking like that anymore. It's not fucking 2021. So that's what we know that's not going to change by the end of this year. But I'm saying later on, I want people to go, yo, this isn't the 2020s, man. Like, you don't talk like that.
Yeah.
But you got to have laws in place first. And then you got to have social media and mainstream media address this appropriately and bring awareness and look at, you got to vilify that type of behavior because it is some villainous shit. But for some reason, nobody cares about it until a bunch of people get shot up. And even then, I mean, my man had enough audacity to go up on that and say, I mean, the guy shot up all these Asian spas and they were like, I don't know if it's Asian. Hey, he was just having a bad day. Yep. What?
Yep.
You know? What? That's crazy to me.
I remember the amount of anger that flowed through my veins when I first heard that. dude was just having a bad day. Like, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I'm sure you guys felt something similar, but I just felt an intense rage. And you know me, I'm a positive guy, but all that positivity went out the window, and I was just consumed by negative energy. And I was kind of like, I can't believe this just happened, and I can't believe that is the explanation. Like, just to casually write it off, it's a bad day.
Where do you... Norm and I always go in circles around this, but where do you take it as when a comedian says something wild, borderline racist? Is it okay for comedians to kind of, towards Asians,
right?
Is that okay, or do you go, nah, that's not cool?
I mean, I don't know what my answer is to that, but when I do hear a comedian say something against, you know, because we are Asian, I'm Asian. When I hear something that I find to be in poor taste, I cringe. Even if it's a joke, I cringe. Like, you know, I mean, I'm not telling the guy what to do or what to say, but like, I don't, and racism of any kind, I personally don't like it. You know, I don't even it doesn't matter if it's Asians, blacks.
If it's at the expense of somebody else's culture.
Yeah. If it's at someone else's expense or culture, I cringe personally. Even more so if it's against Asians, because fuck, I'm Asian. Yeah. You know, like, why is my culture being used as a punchline? And then you're gonna go home and eat pad thai. You want to only take the things that you like from my culture, but make fun of the other ones, the things that you find are weird, different, or funny.
But most of the jokes are actually dissing Asian men.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, we grew up with that,
right?
That's to demean us.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's further demasculinization of Asian men, and so it's been a thing. It's not a secret that we have never been desirable.
In our neighborhood, it wasn't any Asian. I was the only Asian kid out there hanging out. So just like when you were in your fraternity, I would hear those jokes, but I would only hear them when I was doing something better than them. For example, we were playing basketball, and I was killing them, and then all of a sudden, yo, man, stick to your karate shit, or you know, all of a sudden it's like, yeah, at least my dick is bigger than yours, and I'm like, how do you know that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just in my head, I was like, how do we get from me playing basketball and all of a sudden my dick is bigger than yours? I was like, that's the weakest trash talk.
Yeah,
you know, or like, yo, this and that, yo, how come Chinese people like this? How come like that? And yo, do you know how to do, yo, how can you actually see me? Like, how do you see with those eyes? Like, how do you do that? And I'm just like, come on, man. I was like, my eyes are beautiful. Stop playing. You know?
I love it, man.
Anyway, on that, I mean, we've been here for a while. We got to wrap it up. All our equipment, batteries are dying. Give to our Patreon, man. Yeah. I love y'all. Do you want to drop any last thoughts?
Nah, man. Just you know, just be cool and inspire people. Have that positive energy, and stay tuned for the next episode of the Lucky Boys podcast.
Love that. I didn't have to close out. You did.
Lucky Boys Podcast.